G'day, I'm Patrick from Douglas Fur Design. Welcome to the Router Bits. Two router tables I have here with me are a Sherwood entry-level model and a Kreg model. Both are pretty well-known brands. When you're looking at a router table, there's a couple things that you'll need to look at. What's the top made from? You know, the actual table itself. What's the insert made from and how does that operate? That's the bit that the router actually connects to and the bit comes through, so that's a pretty important part. You want to look at the fence, how that works, and you know, if you like the operation, how solid it feels. And then, you know, any accessories that come with it. Both of these tables, as kind of an entry-level table, have an MDF top. Now that's covered with a melamine, similar to like a kitchen bench. It is really hard wearing, but it's not going to wear as long as something like cast iron. Now, a cast iron table is going to cost you more. So, you know, starting out, a lot of people will use an MDF table for many years and get a ton of good life out of it. So in that sense, both of these are pretty comparable. The next thing we want to look at is the insert plate. Now, like I said, that's what your actual router body connects to. There are a number of materials that these are made from. Most commonly, they're either a phenolic, which is it's a resin, a type of plastic. That's what the Kreg one is made from. And then the Sherwood one is actually solid aluminium. So in terms of durability, I'd say long term, the aluminium plate will last you longer. One advantage to the Sherwood one here is it's actually pre-drilled to fit a Triton router, which is a really common router to use on these particular tables because it has a really good lift function. So, you know, you can also use this with other routers. The Kreg one is actually a blank resin insert, so you'd need to drill that to the particular pattern of your router. A really important feature about insert plates is that they must be perfectly flat to the table. Now both of these, the Kreg and the Sherwood, have a method of doing that which is similar but slightly different. Both of these plates have screws that lock the plate down, and then they've got grub screws which adjust the height. So in both situations, in the Sherwood, you loosen off the locking screws and then you're actually adjusting these grub screws from the top, which is really nice and simple. You don't have to get under the table. Once it's all level, you tighten off your locking screws again. With the Kreg, you loosen off your 4 locking screws and then you're actually adjusting the grub screws from underneath the table. All that means is that there's a bit of up and down from above to below the table. This is an operation that you theoretically should only do once if you get it perfect, but in practice I know that I've had to reset my insert plate a number of times. Maybe I put something way too heavy on it. Anyway, with the Sherwood you can do it from the top. With the Kreg you've got to jump underneath and tighten those grub screws up. So both of them are perfectly functional. That's just, you know, some of the difference in the feature between those particular insert plates. When we look at the fences, these two operate in slightly different ways. They'll both do the job. As you'd see from my other videos, the table I use in my shop is a Sherwood, so I'm really familiar with the way that this fence operates. You've got these two big hand screws sticking out, and you just loosen them off, move the whole fence in any direction you want, and tighten them back down. This particular model doesn't come with any micro adjustment, so the adjustment is just what you're doing with your hands. The best way to get micro adjustment on a setup like this is to tighten one side off, and then you can just really slightly adjust the other side to get those really small increments that you need. But when they're locked down, it's really solid, it's easy to use, it slides well, and you know, for that, I've always been happy with this. The Kreg system is slightly different. It's still performing the same function, but it actually uses this quick release lever. So you lift up that lever, undo this screw on the back here, and then you can slide it and then lock it down. So instead of tightening 2 screws, you're using that lever instead, but you know, much of a muchness really. One feature that the Kreg fence does have, which the Sherwood fence does not, is it's actually got these rods which you can use to place behind one of these sliding face inserts to bring it out by about 1 millimeter, so that you can technically use this as a jointer. I've never used my router as a jointer. I know that some people do. If you really wanted to, there are certainly ways you could do that with the Sherwood as well. But these particular rods that the Kreg system uses, you know, that potentially makes that easier to take them in and out. You just slide these plastic rods out from their holders in the back, and then you'd loosen off this fence component, slide them in here, and then that just moves that fence component further out than this one, which allows you to use it as a jointer. If you wanted to do a similar thing with the Sherwood, you'd need to put some washers behind there or something. If that was an operation that you needed your router to do, both could do it. The Kreg just does it a little bit more simply. In terms of accessories, the Sherwood comes with a miter fence, just simple, easy to use. You can buy this as an optional accessory if you wanted to use it with the Kreg table, but the Kreg table doesn't come with one. The other useful accessory that the Sherwood comes with is this safety switch. Basically it's an external electronic switch. You'd plug your router into that, and rather than having to reach under the table and turn the router on its motor body, you'd actually turn it on and off here. I think that makes it a hell of a lot safer. It means you can turn the router off with your leg or your knee while you're doing operations if you need to, rather than having to reach underneath. So it's nice that this table comes with that. Also on the frame, it's a little thing, but there's a whole bunch of holes which will fit 1/4 and 1/2 inch router bits, so you can potentially store a whole bunch of router bits directly on the table itself, which is nice. So you're probably wondering, comparing these two, the most important thing to most people is price. They're actually pretty much the same price. They're about $10 difference. So you've just got to decide which features you find, you know, most important. I think the optional extras that the Sherwood comes with as standard, like the safety switch and the miter guide, for me that makes a big difference. If you need more information, or if you want to check out one of these machines, you can head to the Timbercon website or go into the store. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.